To the good part, the good news, which we have some great stories to share with you today. Did you know that the beloved co-founder of Costco passed away recently? The business pioneer who co-founded Costco is being remembered today around the country, but particularly in the Seattle area, where he opened his first store in 1983. Well known as a philanthropist who treated his workers like family, Jeff Brotman died in his sleep at age 74, still the chairman of the warehouse chain that now operates 736 stores across the world, including 511 in the United States. The son of Jewish immigrants from Romania, Brotman not only transformed the way many families shop, he transformed the way we treat people, according to King 5 News in Seattle. The state's governor said so many companies now in the region are offering full health insurance benefits to even part-time employees, as well as financial aid so employees can go to college, and that is due to Costco's leadership. His personality was bubbly, and he had fun while he worked, an infectious quality that spread throughout the store's aisles, where Brotman knew most employees by name. Doesn't that make a difference, knowing them by name? It really does. Having that personal effect, making people feel appreciated. We need to do that more. So that is absolutely awesome. It's unfortunate that he's passed, but we never know when our time is, do we? So very good that they're celebrating him and learning. He led by example. Very good. And speaking of leading by example, excuse me, here's another great story. This Air Force veteran was taught that he should never leave a man behind, and that is exactly the creed behind this tiny new house project. Donnie Davis is creating a micro-housing community in Franklinville, New Jersey, that will provide shelter counseling and therapy animals to veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, and it will all be provided free of charge. An Afghanistan war veteran himself, Davis first got the idea for the Operation Safe Haven project when he got a call about an abandoned 277-acre campground that was going up for sale in Franklinville. Since Davis is also a pastor, the caller asked whether he would want to build a church on the property. Instead, Davis launched a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for a tiny house community that would nurture vets with PTSD back to health. In 14 months, Davis has raised over $200,000 of his $500,000 goal. Davis has already moved on to the property so he can dedicate all of his time to the initiative. A team of volunteers and veterans alike are currently working on building the facilities and recruiting potential residents. In return for housing within the community, residents will help care for the animals, grounds, and gardens. The facilities will also be carbon neutral and environmentally friendly thanks to solar panels installed on the roofs. Very good. Since Davis started working on the project, the veteran has found that the calming outdoor atmosphere of the campground has helped treat his own PTSD. After being in the Air Force for 5 years in the 90s, he worked for 5 years as a Maryland police officer. But now, surrounded by nature and peace, Davis feels the anxiety of his past ebbing away, and he now wants to help other veterans who are just like him in a meaningful way. Isn't that absolutely awesome? See, we find out what's going on, and then we become solution-driven and help with the solutions apply to other people. Absolutely wonderful. Next story up, very cool. Mexico City has finally taken a stance on dolphin abuse. A bill recently passed by the Legislative Assembly of Mexico City has banned the captivity of dolphins for entertainment, performances, therapy, and research. The bipartisan legislation, which was hailed as a landmark ban by the International Animal Protection Organization, in defense of animals took effect earlier this week. The law was passed in light of the organization's 10 worst tanks list of abusive facilities. Mexico City Six Flags Park, which is renowned for housing the late Aura from Free Willy's, is ranked at number 6 internationally. Though the fate of the 2 dolphins and 2 sea lions currently at the park is still unknown, In Defense of Animals is encouraging the retirement to an aquatic sanctuary for rehabilitation. This landmark ban will spare generations of animals from cruelty and sends a clear message that the public increasingly rejects dolphin captivity, said Dr. Tony Frohoff, scientist for the Defense of Animals. We thank Mexico City officials for recognizing our 10 worst tanks list and acting swiftly to end the abuse. We urge Six Flags to retire the dolphins at a seaside sanctuary where they may recover. All parties, from rights to strong lefts, voted just as one, says dolphin advocate Yolanda Alanas at a press conference. Deputies recognize dolphins as sentient beings who suffer living in concrete tanks. Politics spoke with ethics and marked a new way to follow our country, for we will follow this path. Isn't that wonderful? We are making strides all the time to either putting things back to the way they should have been before we got involved with them, or just making things better. And that's what we need to do. Solutions, right? And make everything easy. It's trying times for some people, for some animals, for some generations. So we need to focus on that and be proactive and be solution-based. So, really cool little story to end with here. This 5-year-old was all set to have a safe flight as an unaccompanied minor last month, but then the kindness of the crew made it even better. Since Southwest Airlines reportedly allows children aged 5 and up to travel unaccompanied as long as it is either a non-stop flight or non-plane change layover, Aisley Schatz was flying home to Orlando, Florida from visiting her grandparents in Los Angeles, California. The youngster was on a non-plane changeover in Omaha when she tried to call her mother, Natasha, on her tablet, only to have the call give out. That's when Jessica Darnell, one of the trip's flight attendants, offered up her own phone so Aisley could FaceTime her mother. Then, even though Aisley had been able to take some snacks aboard, she began to get a little hungry. The captain of the flight, West Huston, then stepped off the plane and bought the young passenger some KFC chicken strips and potato wedges. Aisley's mom was so grateful for the crew's kindness, she posted her praise to Facebook. With all of the negativity going around with airline companies and their employees, I want to point out these wonderful employees you guys have. And I want to give them a shout out for taking care of my daughter by going above and beyond when it wasn't something they had to do, wrote Natasha. Isn't that absolutely awesome? Now, what's really sort of funny about it is that they don't mention that much about Southwest Airlines, because that's not one of the more common ones that I'm familiar with. So definitely look them up. If you're doing some traveling, what a great company to travel with, right? Always do your research. Now, speaking of that, before we wrap up the good news portion of the show today, I'd like to mention all those articles came from thegoodnewsnetwork.org. I'm sorry, I totally drew a blank there. Goodnewsnetwork.org. Go check it out. It's a great website, and they put good news every day. Every single day, no matter holiday, what it is, they're always posting good news. Now, sometimes I get it from other sites, but that's my main go-to. And they're absolutely fantastic. And it's from all over the world, not just what we like to call as our first world country. So all those articles are going to be posted on the Positive Power Facebook page for you to check out at your convenience. And some of them come with pictures and videos, so it's definitely worth it to check out. Now, before we head out and we finish this and go back to the music on the radio show today, just one more article I'd like to go over briefly. We talk quite often about our 4 superpowers. We have the power of how we think, how we feed ourselves, how we medicate ourselves, and how we spend our money. So this article here is 10 ways a daily walk can change your mind and body, right? This is the only body you have. Look after it. It'll do you good, but you have to put some effort into it, right? So, number 1, your weight can drop. We know the advantages of that. Number 2, your risk for diabetes can decrease. Number 3, your blood pressure can drop. Number 4, your risk of cardiovascular disease is lowered. Your digestion becomes more regular. Your bones get stronger. Your mood can be boosted. Your mind becomes more creative. Your body will actually last longer. And the last one, number 10, you can supersize all those by doing them in a park. While walking is the key in all of these, further research finds that for city slickers, taking a walk in a park or even a tree-filled plaza, as opposed to more urban parts of a city, helps to alleviate brain fatigue, meaning less stress and improved concentration. There you go. Studies show a walk in the park fixes a fuzzy brain. And we all have our times that we have a fuzzy brain, right? So there you go. There's your good news for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It is August 6th. Can you believe we're halfway through summer already? So I hope you're doing some positive stuff, spending some time on yourself, doing what you enjoy, and what makes your heart hum. And in the meantime, let's go back to some music and enjoy the rest of the show here on Positive Power on the Playfair Music audio stream.